Welcome to the BOR or Bust podcast. I'm Daryl Henry. I'm here with my boy, Nick Obi. It is Nick's first week live being back in the saddle. He's so excited. He tells me he's a little saddle sore. Actually, he didn't say that. I'm making stuff up to make him uncomfortable if that's possible. Nick, how you feeling, my friend?
I don't get sore, Daryl. I'm not sore. I could sit in that saddle all freaking day. It is good to be back in the saddle.
Don't call it a comeback. You never left.
That's right, baby. Technically, I did leave for 3.5 years, 4 years, but yes. But I'm back. Dude, I said before we got on, my brain is breaking this week. And I should say it's breaking. I'm deep in thought, let's just say, the past 24 hours. And we started to talk and we said, what are we doing? Let's just hit record.
Yep.
Okay.
So what are you thinking about?
Well, I was just thinking about my mother-in-law staying with us this week.
I
That's what I was just thinking about.
I don't want you to get down a bad bunny trail there. We gotta think happy.
No, but
thoughts.
it made me think. I'm like, that doesn't have any impact on the revenue, although it is a slightly different environment than I'm used to. So, okay, here's what I found. We talked about the one call. I've been testing that. And I came up with this term, a qualified decision conversation. Came up with it this morning. Now, the past 24 hours I've been highly distracted. Part of my goal is to hit $1 million in revenue. The other part is to be present with my family. Well, I failed that part in the past 24 hours. I was checked out. I was distracted. I was thinking about this thing. And I had a deal yesterday, $130,000 in revenue. I cold called them. Oh, dude, I wanted it. I wanted to come here, get on this show, and just slap it down in front of you. S my D, eat my a-hole, Daryl. Look at this. 3 days, $130K in revenue. Suck it. I wanted it bad. Now, here's how I played it. And this is where I think we could start to have we were starting to go down the conversation. We could have some fun. Oh, I wanted it. I wanted it in the worst way. And so here's what I cold called them. We got a cold caller. We're still testing the lead volume. Do we need 2 lead callers? Whatever. So I'm hopping on the phone some throughout the day. I say, hey, there's a new strategy you can use. The script I've been teaching forever that I've been putting on LinkedIn, and people, that doesn't work. Oh, it works. Just had a guy that I was on a coaching call with. He booked 5 meetings using the script next week. But anyway, the point is he goes, I could talk right now. And I knew his renewal. He was 10 days out from his renewal. So I knew it was urgent. I go, now? I said, well, let me take a piss and then I'll talk to you. How about 5 minutes? Can we do it? And he goes, you going to send me a Teams meeting? I'm like, oh my God, let's go. Talking dirty to me. So let's just say his name was Tommy. It wasn't, but let's say his name was Tommy. Tommy, 5 minutes. I'll send you the link. Hop on there. He hopped on. He's ready to go. I go, dude, there's a new strategy you can use. I'm assuming you took the call because you want to get the best deal. He goes, yes, we got to get the best deal. So I'm running the play. I'm running as a one call. The way I've got it set up is 15-minute blocks, 15-minute calls. The idea is then we try, I've got a 15-minute buffer after. I'm willing to go 30. I went 34 minutes. I was late to walking my dog. Actually, I didn't walk my dog. Remember, the goal, I was distracted. I got to clean that part up. Walked him today, though. I'm not going to miss 2 days in a row on my board. So, go 34 minutes on the call. We got to the decision point. He got the strategy that quickly. He was paying $1.3 million in premium. He understood it. I said, here's the name of the game. I showed a quick image. Here's what you got to do. He goes, we're not doing that. I go, I know you're not. He's like, so what do I need to do? Well, here's what you need to do. Now, if I was critiquing, grading myself, I got a little tripped up. I said we a couple times right in there. We removed that. What you need to do is this. So then I got to the spot and I said, okay, where do you think we should go from here? He's like, well, can you help me? I said, well, I can help you. However, you have to pick one broker. And that's where we got to the decision point. He said, I don't know if I can do that this close to the renewal. I said, okay. I said, tell you what, Let me make a few calls to the market and just see where your reputation is at. Because I talked about reputation with him. He goes, I don't know my reputation. Well, that's important. You need to know that. Let me make a few calls. So I made a few calls. What I found out was if he was going to sign a BOR, he had to do it that day based on the waiting period. Otherwise, it wouldn't go through. The only option he had was he had two carriers that were competing against each other. He had one that was better than the other. The only play he had was to bring in a new broker that actually knew how to negotiate and create a competitive environment against those two and hope you could get a third carrier in the mix just to create a little bit of a competitive environment. So I said, I have some answers for you. Let's hop on the call. I said 4 or 4:30. He said 4. Okay, great. So we talk at 4. I said, dude, you got two choices. You eat the renewal, and it was up 50% from what he was paying. Taking it. Just taking it.
Oof.
I go, you can eat that, or you can pick a new broker, create a competitive environment, tell these carriers they have 10 days to negotiate the price down, and see if you get a third carrier in the mix. However, no carrier will talk to any broker unless they become the broker. So then he goes, all right, I can't do that. I only have one choice. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm trying to wrap this up. I go, what's your choice? He goes, I can't do that. I can't risk losing the carrier that I have, the one quote that I have, because if that quote is too good, I go above. I'm not willing to go above that number. That's already 50% above. So I said, okay, is it about the broker? Are you more afraid to piss off the broker, or is it more about the carrier, the quote? You don't want to lose the quote. He said, I care more about losing the quote than the broker. So that's the true objection right there that I've got to solve. Then I said, well, look, dude, that's not how it goes down. Now, look, if I could critique how I handled the objection a little bit, but we won't go there for now. The point is he made his decision. And he said, could you get me another option? I said, no. And this was the tempting part. And I wrote on this water bottle, this jug I got, just a little flex. I drink a gallon a day. It's BOR bust. And thank God I wrote that yesterday on it, because I'm staring at that. And you know what I was so tempted to do? Hey, we're a startup agency. We're 3 days in, 130 in revenue. What if I just took a shot at this thing and tried to find something? It would have, guess what I'd be doing the next 10 days? Scrambling to do that and producing no other revenue. So anyway, I said, I can't do that because guess what? Nobody's going to take me seriously and it's going to damage your reputation. It's not in your best interest. Your only option is to hire somebody and you have to have the guts to get a new broker at this stage in the game, or you have to eat the renewal. And he said, I'm going to eat the renewal. Now, what happened? For him, he actually walked away feeling like he got the best deal. And that's what I promised him from the beginning, because he felt like he was back in control. He's like, all right, man, I get it. He goes, let's talk next April. I want to run this play. I want to run it with you. I think I'll win that account next year. In 45 minutes of conversation. We didn't talk about safety. We didn't talk about vehicle numbers, VIN numbers, DOT, anything. Right? But what he got out of it, he got the peace of mind. He knew that was his best option that he was comfortable with. Another person might be more comfortable blowing it up and saying, oh, look, I'll gamble. I'm willing to roll the dice and potentially lose that deal. But he wasn't. So my point is we got to the decision point in 45 minutes.
That's really fast.
130K revenue deal by only talking about what mattered. Anyway, that was almost the whole podcast. What are your thoughts?
That's a great story. All right. So first, going back to, you talked about, you came up with this term, qualified decision conversation. How does this qualifying conversation that you just had tie in with that term that you've created in your mind, qualified decision conversation?
Well, it's not just in my mind, it's on paper. So now you know it's official.
Now it's real.
Yes.
It's real. It's been written down.
So I've had 6 qualified, what I would call qualified decision conversation. I may change the name. That's just, as of today, that's what I called it. Because I'm like, what is the metric that I'm searching for? Because what I found in trucking, the show rate blows. We've had meetings. I've probably had 15, 16 meetings set. So far, my target was 20 a week. We're going to hit it. But the hold rate is not there.
I find the same thing with construction. When when I work social services versus construction, the show rate for people in construction is it's a fraction of the social
What would you
service.
say? Is it 40%?
Well, 40, 50% at the very highest. It's probably lower. It's like I just went out to a pitch meeting today that I set with a guy last week. No show, didn't pick up the call. And that happens so much more frequently for me with construction
today
than with trucking.
You did a pitch meeting and he no-showed you?
Yep, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Did you drive there?
I did. It's about 15 minutes from my house. I was cursing the whole way home.
Yeah. I didn't think you cursed.
Not on camera.
I got you, not publicly. I get it. Fair enough. The 15, okay, don't give me that. Oh, it's just 15 minutes away. How long did it actually take you if you add it all up?
To do what?
To do the whole thing.
To drive to do the qualifying call and drive out to do the pitch call, or just drive
today?
Well, I left the house at 12:30, got back at 1:30.
1 hour.
1 hour.
That's what I'm questioning, is that right there. And I'm not trying to pick on you, like I'm questioning you, Daryl. That's how I operated forever. 2019, I did 50,000 freaking miles. Like, all doing that, driving to everybody.
I know.
That's the part.
I was thinking about you on the drive back. I was like, Nick's gonna mock me.
You're damn right.
And I don't know why I did it. I did tried to do an in-person meeting last week, and that one busted on me. And I thought, this is stupid. Like I let other voices get in my head of how powerful in-person is, but you risk so much with the time. But anyway, I'm getting off track.
You're onto something with that. Okay, here's the theory that we've been talking about. Yes, no, maybe. Those are the three decisions that you're going to get.
Right.
And I'll get to the in-person thing here with that. And I'm not just going to shame you. There's actual, it's the nicest word I could think of. So, okay, I've had 6 of them. Let me run through them.
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't lead with this. I got a BOR day 2. Now, but here's the deal. I celebrated too soon. I texted you. I texted my parents. They listened to this. I'm like, oh, you guys are, them two and my wife are probably my top 3 followers on the thing. They're like, oh, we watch every episode. I'm like, well, guess what, guys? I'm going to give you a sneak peek behind the curtain. Day in the life. I got one. You won't even have to wait a week to hear it. I got one, right? So, but then I realized after, I'm like, that was too soon to celebrate. And I know that, but I was just excited. The second day that we had it, I get the commitment. So here's what I'm playing around with, and we could talk through. I've had 6 qualified decision conversations. I had a dude, I'll call them all Johnny or Tommy, because I was about to read their names. It's not that I care. I want to protect their privacy. I don't care if another broker could call them. I don't care.
Well, maybe just call them 1 through 6.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow, look at you.
Well,
all right, so number 1.
Yeah.
You good. More than sometimes. Okay, number 1. I still almost read his name. 15 minutes. We got to the maybe. Here's the decision point. He said, I like the strategy. He was pissed at his broker. He's teeing off at him, swearing about him. He's like, that dude, he's not running this strategy. And if I leave, I'm going to bring all my buddies with me. We got 100 trucks with this agent combined. We're all going to leave. Fired up. I'm like, all right, man, so where should we go from here? Well, let me call him first. And if he doesn't get his stuff together, then I'm going to go with you. Okay. I want the freaking revenue. Remember, I was coming on this today. I wanted to rub it in. You said I couldn't, 5 BORs. I wanted 6, and I wanted to dangle them around. So I wanted him. So he goes, maybe. All right. Sucks from the revenue perspective, but it is still a win, because if that's his response, let's say I quote it for the next 10 days and I give him a quote, what's his answer going to be?
Maybe let me go talk to my broker about it.
We have, combined with my buddies, we have 100 trucks with this broker, and let me just make sure he's not already doing this. right?
Yep.
We could slice it however we want. The problem that we convince ourselves as brokers, and I did this for years, but if he gets to know me more, if I spend more time with him, if I can, what's the word I've heard? If they can experience how I operate, they're more likely to move. BS. That's his answer. That's how he's going to operate. So I got that in 15 minutes. Number 2, Martin, 5 minutes. He told me my strategy sucks. So it's like, all right, immediate no, right? So if I take number 1 and number 2, I'm going to follow up with number 1. I'm not going to follow up with number 2. There's nothing I can do to convince number 2 to move. Because remember, in his mind, my strategy sucks. There's no competition. Now, I explain the competition at the carrier level. Hey, well, let me stop you right there. No, that's not how it works. Number 3, I almost read his name again. Number 3, 23 minutes. This dude could freaking talk. I like to talk, but he was like a slow talker. He's from the South. I said, what's your strategy to negotiate the best deal? Tell me about that. Now, what you talking about? Boy, I've been negotiating for 50 years. That's my strategy. I put in a bid request. All right, this is going to be a long conversation. So guess what? I had him as a maybe at the end. He was maybe interested. I chose to put him as a no because, like, I'm not dealing with that.
That sounds like a no.
The revenue he was at, it's like, I'm not putting in any extra effort. I said, I will email you my contact information. If you decide you want to run the strategy, let me know. Probably not going to hear from him. Not going to follow up.
What was the revenue on it? And
that was a small one. This is
okay.
the next thing I will get into that I'm testing. Small revenue.
Okay.
This goes back to what we've talked about a bunch. Small revenue, it's easy to say that. S it. I have to say S-M-I-D, his name, but number 3, it's like, small revenue, dude, I'm not trying to convince you, and I don't need every conversation to take 30 minutes because you want to tell me about your grandpa bought the farm. He's from the South, obviously. And you like my Southern accent, maybe you don't.
I like your New Hampshire version of the Southern accent. It's great.
You saying I don't sound Southern? I think I would fit right in down there.
I think we could get some friends on that would prove that you don't sound like you. Y'all ain't from around here, are you?
Yeah. Y'all are right. Number 4, 1.3 million in premium, so 130,000 in revenue. 45 minutes. He was a maybe after the first 30 minutes. So then what I did was, what do I need to follow up with? He needed more information about his reputation in the market. I got that. Now, based on the timing, that dictated my follow-up steps. That's what we were talking about with the maybe. The maybes will determine the follow-up steps for themselves. Right? In the traditional process, I would have met with him, and then we would have said, let's have another meeting tomorrow. We'll buy time. We'll build the strategy. He didn't have the time. So then I got to the immediate no, but I would still mark it as, it's not a no forever. It still is a maybe because it's next year. We're going to meet in probably March or April.
You know,
and I guarantee.
Yeah, can I pause on this for just a second? Because I think, so since I've started using the strategy, one of the things that has been different for me is that most insurance sales processes, they talk about you got to start 3 to 5 months in advance. You got to have plenty of time to work the process. But the thing with the strategy is a lot of the best deals happen 2 to 4 weeks before the renewal, because that's when the crisis happens, and that's when they actually need the strategy the most.
Yep.
And so there's this sweet spot. It's probably 10 to 30 days before the renewal when somebody says, I have this awful, awful problem and I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, and let's talk about that really quick. There's the ideal strategy is you start 90 days out, but nobody's in the ideal thing. I've used this example a bunch with coaching. There's a DUI attorney from town, not because I used him. He was a corporate attorney as well. We networked and did this DUI thing on the side. It'd be like somebody calling him up going, hey man, I need help. I got a DUI. You know what, dude? I can't help you. Next time, before you drink and drive, though, call me and we'll put together a plan to make sure that you don't drink and drive and you don't get a DUI. It's like, that's not how it works. Dude, I have the DUI right now. Like, I need help. Like, of course, I wish I didn't do it, right? It's like, You're not like, I can't help you now. You're only 5 days out. You should never have done that. Well, no kidding. I shouldn't have done that. Right. So the idea is in that situation, or you go the alternative, which is what most brokers do. Hey, look, you're in a jam right now. You're just going to have to go through that thing. And then let's get you into our 12-step program so you never get a DUI again. We'll help you through that. It's like they can't think past that, right? So that's like you go to a prospect. You're like, okay, hey, man, you're 10 days out. Tell you what, stay where you're at, but then let's get you in our risk management program. And over the next 12 months, we'll rehabilitate you. And then you'll be in a better spot to run the strategy next year. They're like, dude, you can't help me right now. I'm out. So what you do inside those 2 weeks, it's like, okay, well, here's the ideal strategy. Here's all you can do right now. Like I said with that guy, the 130,000 revenue. You either have the guts to blow this thing up and take a shot and drive it down, or you eat the renewal. And he was good at eating the renewal.
But like you said, he still felt better about it. Like I put that one as a maybe tilting towards a yes, because you were talking to him in a moment of crisis. You gave him some real options on how to play it. And he chose to take the safer route. But there's still he has already experienced that the strategy his current broker is using sucks, does not work, put him in an awful jam. And you, in a fraction of the time frame, gave him something significantly better. It was the best option on the table for him. And now you can go back 90 to 150 days before the renewal next year and run the ideal strategy. But he's already felt it. He's already experienced it.
I agree. I think I've got him. I would be shocked if he didn't come on board. But this is the mistake that people make, is they count that revenue for next year. I'm not counting that. That's still maybe. So
it is a maybe. Yeah.
We'll hit the other two. Number 5. Pitched him the strategy. I did the pitch in 15 minutes. He said, man, I get it, but I don't even know you. How can I move forward with you? I said, fair point, man. I get it. We just met. How about we jump on a Zoom call tomorrow so you can actually see my face? We can talk. I've got a video I'll send you that explains the strategy. I have some an image of the strategy. I'll email you. You'll have my contact info. You'll see. I'll send you the company website. Take a look at that. Let's hop on the Zoom call. We can meet and we could go from there. Does that sound fair? He said, yeah, that sounds great. I think that tomorrow would work. We picked a time. No showed today. Right? So now I'm still counting him as maybe, because he bought into the strategy, but he needed to see more in order to get it. Right?
Yes.
Now, number 6 was actually number 1. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me pause on that one for a second, because let's talk about the typical ways. All right. What is the typical way when somebody says, I don't know you? What does a broker typically do to build the relationship? It's, well, let me take you to golf. Let's go get lunch. Let me get you coffee. Let's spend time together. I'll learn your kids' names. Yep. When there are faster ways for him to get to know you that don't involve your time, right?
Yep. And is it true? Is that true? Now, okay, if I was going through, hey, this is something I missed on that call.
Okay.
Number 5, I get it, man. Totally, I get it. You want to meet me. Is there anything outside of meeting me that would stop you from moving forward or with hiring me to run the strategy? I missed that yesterday. I was a little too ramped up. No, man, that's it. Okay, cool. Let's jump on a Zoom call. We'll meet. I'll send you some info. Right? I would have arrived at the same outcome, but I could have isolated, was that the real objection? That's one area that I would improve upon there. But let's just say I did that, right? Or I didn't. It doesn't matter. That's where we land on the next step. So now, the next step is a 15-minute call. He no-shows. Okay. I'll follow up 1 or 2 more times, and maybe he's just a no. Maybe he wasn't comfortable with the fact that he didn't know me. And what am I going to do? Like, outside of spending a bunch of time to get him known, but my point is it worth it? Because this is where we'll get into the calculation of it all. This is where my brain was like, I'm saying it's working extra hard.
Well, there's a lot of ways for him to get to know you that don't require you being there in person. This is one of the most powerful parts of content marketing, honestly, is you got an email, you got a name, you put a newsletter in front of that guy 12 months in a row. you have an agency website, that's value that you can deliver consistently, but the beautiful thing about content is it's one to many versus one to one. So
100%.
instead of trying to spend time with that person individually, you create something that helps a large group of people get to know you. And that's another way to scale yourself so that you
Yep.
can be in more places at once.
Exactly. And so that's why I'd say he's a maybe.
He is a maybe.
Now, right now, do I want him to look at my content? Maybe not, because all of it is targeted at brokers and BORing, and not that would scare him, but it's not really geared towards him. Like, he probably wouldn't understand it. But that doesn't mean we can't create content around that.
Right.
So, and the idea is and I shouldn't say I don't want him to look at it. It just wouldn't make as much sense to him. Ideally, he's looking at trucking specific content. That's really what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Now, the number 6, 30-minute call. I think it was more about 25 minutes to 20 minutes to 25 minutes, but the call dropped 3 times, and I was getting irritated.
I hate that. That's the worst.
Because I had him too, and the call kept dropping. But guess what? He kept calling me back. Hey, man, my call dropped. I'm in bad service. I want to hear more. He was hooked on it. So I deliver the strategy. He goes, works for me. I'm in. Now,
Wow.
Part of that is I used his words. He was like, the insurance is like the mafia. I go, oh, yes, they are. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to show you how to take down the mafia, the insurance mafia. I'm going to show you, brother. You ready? Buckle up. Number 6. You ready? This is the rundown. So I walked him through it. He goes, I get it. Now, so of the 6, I got 1 yes. It's about 15 to 20K in revenue.
It's a good
I'll
week.
wait for your applause.
Yep.
No, I'm joking. I'm not joking. Look, the numbers aren't that great, 16%. So here's the question that I have, or that I'm looking at. There's 2 things. One is this guy that said yes, it exposed something new for me that I've never thought of. And then we could talk about this, and then we could talk about the actual number of qualified decision conversations, because I think that's the metric that we want to try and look at. Is if that's the thing, if you can do it in 30 minutes or less, if you can get to a decision, the decision point that typically takes 90 minutes, then the question becomes, how many qualified decision conversations can you have in a day? And that we'll get into that in a minute. Unless you want to do that now and go to the other. Well, let's hit the other one. The other one's faster. When I realized this guy said yes, I'm all jacked up. I'm texting you. I'm texting my family. Look at me, pounding my chest. 30 minutes later, I'm like, what am I doing? I look like a clown. I don't even know if I can fully BOR this thing because I have to figure out if I can get access to its current market. Now, when we pitch the BOR, this is one of the questions I get all the time. What if you don't have access to the markets? There's 2 paths to the BOR. Path A, you have access to the market. You get the BOR for the current market and the rest of the marketplace. That's the ultimate. I always would have said that's guaranteed revenue. What I'm going to say now, is it's not guaranteed revenue. I'll explain in a minute. Teaser. The next is path B. You don't have access to the market, and what you're looking for is a blanket BOR to represent them to the rest of the marketplace. Now, again, that is not as ideal as path A, but the other option you could say there is, I'm just going to walk away. But the problem with it is everybody out there, every broker pretty much has access to every market for the most part. If you don't have one, it's because you have 2 or 3 other competing ones and the contracts don't line up. And it's almost impossible. We did a whole episode on this to get every market. So with the way you explain it to the client is, look, the strategy is not to get every market. You don't want to do that. You could do that, but if you're going to do it, do it. You're going to need about 10 brokers. And that's what I explained to that guy doing paying 1.3 million. I'm like, if you're going to play the game, you better freaking play it. But you're going to need about 10 people in here. And and then he caught it. He goes, but you just told me about my reputation. Wouldn't that crush my reputation? I said, yes. Now you're getting it. So you're better off to manage your reputation than worry about hitting every market. It's more impactful. So we explain that. Okay, I get that. All right, so year one, I may or may not have access to your broker. This is what you and I were talking about before, the strategy of 1 meetings versus 2. Where I've landed is I don't care if I have access or not. I cared for the longest time. In the interest of time and speed, the way I'm pitching it is next step. If you're a yes, next step is I have to figure out if your current broker will give me access, or your current carrier. If they will not, I will come back to you. The game plan will be I go to the rest of the market on your behalf. And it will prove to you, this guy that I was talking to, that the insurance mafia is real and they play games to protect your broker. He goes, all right, I get it. So then the next day I figured it out. The guy wouldn't give me access. He was kind of rude about it. Protective of his little club. So then I just called the client and said, dude, you're right about that guy. You are right. The mafia, he's not letting me in. He's holding you hostage with your other broker. I didn't say hostage, but I kind of implied that. Right? It's like with the mafia talk. Because that's how he was speaking. I wouldn't necessarily call it the insurance mafia, but for him, we did. So then the next, I said, okay, now we get the BOR on the rest of the market. Now, what I realized is committed BOR revenue is what we are after with the decision conversation. There's a difference now between committed BOR revenue and fulfilled BOR revenue.
Yes.
I knew that in the past, but I didn't distinguish it firmly enough. So now that guy, because I'm sitting there, it's bothering the hell out of me. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to go through. Even though he said yes and he's in. He hasn't signed it yet. Full disclosure, I would prefer to get it signed on the call. We weren't ready. Like, we got our E&O wrapped up Monday morning. Like, it's like, hey, we're live. Like, so it's like, he's like, I'm like, BOR. I'm like, all right, I need BORs. I'm trying to type them. He's like, DocuSign with me. I'm like, all right, cool. So the next day, call him up. He's like, send him tonight. I'll do him tonight. So that does, and then when I realized on the fulfillment, there's a bunch of different ways that it might not get fulfilled. One is they don't reply. There's nothing we can do if they don't give us the information. The other is we just don't have access to the market, their current market, and the markets we have can't compete. That's like going up against a direct writer. Sometimes you lose, right? Even if you get the BOR for the rest of the market, you can't, Federated crushes you. They're 80 grand less, and the client's like, I don't care. Okay, you might lose. The other, what was the other? Well, I was just spacing it.
So you're talking about it might be a direct
I think I hit all
and you
three.
can't compete. Okay.
Yeah, I think I hit all three. So there's, even if you get the BOR, this is the guaranteed, that's what I was going with it, the guaranteed revenue on the BOR, your current program, they could still go rogue and bring in somebody else.
Yes, they could. Right?
So it's like, now what I'm looking at is, okay, if we get the committed revenue, BOR revenue, now how much of that, what percentage of that actually gets fulfilled?
Do you have an idea? Do you have a thought of what percentage that might be?
I'm using right now, the numbers that I'm estimating are just low because I don't know. I'm going at what if it's as low as 50%?
I was going to put somewhere between 60 and 80%.
Yeah, it could be.
Usually higher. I mean, if you get that plan, so I want pick. You said you don't care if you have access to the market. I agree. I 100% agree with you. It's kind of irrelevant because for the most part, if you know your marketplace, if you don't have access to the market, probably have a market that can beat it. 95% of the time, there's another market that can get equal or better, even if you don't have access to that market. So it really doesn't even matter all that much if you have access to it. Now, there are situations like what you said, it's a Federated or it's an Erie or it's some Byberk or CPH or some online program, and you cannot BOR it, and there is not a replacement.
Yep.
That's maybe that. I've been doing this for a couple of years. That's happened to me 4 or 5 times.
Yep.
And I've probably gotten 50 BORs.
Yep.
Or more, right? So there's still a pipeline, even when you get the committed BOR. I've come to think of the strategy as it's an extended qualifying conversation is what it is. Like we are qualifying them based off of whether they want to buy into this way of buying insurance, because if the client doesn't want to buy insurance this way, we really don't want to represent them.
Right.
And the reason for it is like going back to even earlier in the conversation where you picked up the jug of water, had BOR or bust on it. I was going to ask you what gave you the confidence to walk away from it, because I was thinking about that same thing. It's like, because I think some people could hear BOR or bust and think that's really abrasive. And the truth is, it's not. Like, if you truly believe that the best way for a client to buy insurance is to pick one broker so they don't crush their reputation in the marketplace, create competition between companies, and they ask you to do something that you know is going to hurt them, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, you got a friend that's trying to quit smoking or is an alcoholic, and the alcoholic says, "Man, I just need one beer." It's like, why would you give that guy a beer? Why would you do that?
Because he asked me to, right? It's like, that's what you're doing with your quoting.
If you believe that, if you truly believe that that is true and you are hurting them by doing that, if you go and agree to quote, you are facilitating that. So like, okay, so call I had this week was, it was a deal that I thought I had wrapped up. I had pitched them 6 months ago, but they were 10 months before the renewal. So I had to circle back around, got the owner on the phone, but now he's got a new finance person. And the finance person, we got on the Zoom call. She didn't turn on her camera, which I'm going to say that's one of my number one giveaways that you're not serious.
Yep.
And so and then when people are too quick to say they agree with every point of the strategy to the point where it's dismissive, I know that they're kind of not listening.
Oh yeah.
And
she's checked out.
She was checked out. And then 3/4 of the way, like she's just not there. So, and me and the owner are saying, "Hey, you there?" And he's like getting up out of his desk to go talk to her. And then like at the very end, she's like, so did you get pricing on it? It's like, no, I did not get pricing on it because you don't want me to go do that. That's not in your best interest to have somebody you have not appointed. It's like, you have not been listening this whole time.
For my last email.
But it's to your point. It's like, we're talking about a new version of the pipeline, really. It's like somebody buys into the strategy, this way of buying insurance. There are still some factors where it's not going to go through. It's just that there's less of them.
Yeah. And if that's the case, they've already agreed. They're bought into it. That's the part that you want. That's the BOR bust mentality, is the commitment. Are you in, clients? And then some are going to be ride or die because they want to run the play. So it's like, I don't care if it's more money, just get it close and I'm going with you. Just get it close, right? And so even that guy yesterday that proved that savings is not the option, that is not the real thing. We got in, this guy got to save money. I'm like, okay, cool, because I'm assuming you want the best deal. By the end, he walked away feeling comfortable that he was getting the best deal, even though it was up 50%. He was like, I am not going to risk this. This is the best deal I have. I don't want to risk it. So I delivered. I told you I'd show you how to get the best deal, right? Is he happy with it? 50% higher? No. Am I happy that he didn't pick me this year? No. No one's happy. It's like, why don't we just do this together? But anyway, that's what he picked. So, but your point is, that person, that's just an immediate no, right? It's like, she's not paying attention. She's not interested. She's never going to get it. There's nothing you can do to get her to pay attention. She's out. But if somebody says maybe, that's where we got to follow up. They're still not in the pipeline. I wouldn't count that as committed BOR revenue, right? That's the factor that that's what I'm starting to determine. There's no, there's yes. The yes is committed revenue. Of that, let's say we fulfill 50% for low ball it for now, just because I want to make sure that we have enough in the pipeline. And over time, I think what you can start to do is be like, why is our fulfillment rate 50%? Why is it so bad? What's happening? All right, we're missing a key market. Let's see if we can get that market. And now we can show them, hey, over the past 5 months, we've had this much revenue that could have gone to you, but we're not appointed to you. Or maybe it's fulfillment because we're not getting the information. So is it too slow? Are we too slow to gather the information? Is our process too bad? Okay, so maybe we could improve that. Or is it just things that are out of our control, right? It's a market we didn't have access to. We couldn't get appointed, whatever. So so that's one thing I'm looking at. So now it's like, okay, that guy that said yes, no longer would I celebrate. It's still a win, right? He understood the strategy. He got it. Now he's in phase 2, which is fulfillment, is what I'm calling right now. Maybe I changed the name. But now we have to go actually execute that order.
Yeah, I think a couple thoughts. One, we got to celebrate because you're back in the saddle and you got a yes and he's on board. But if we're probably 6 months from now, after you've gotten 15 of these things, you'd be a little bit more critical. I probably wouldn't even call it a committed BOR yet because you don't have the signed document.
So the reason I'm calling it committed is out of the conversation, out of the qualified decision conversation, he said yes.
So you probably need a stage where it's committed, but you need a signed document phase where they have signed and you're ready to go. And then you're getting to the stepping into the fulfillment phase. But maybe that is I would think fulfilled is closed there. Your customer,
it is.
You've got the revenue.
Yeah, it is. Yep. So what I'm saying is in the fulfillment stage, one of 3 things could happen. They don't sign it, or they sign it, but they never get us the information, or we just don't have it. We can't actually compete on if we don't have access to the market, we can't get a quote that competes.
So it's verbal commit, signed letter, completed submission, fulfillment.
Yep. And I'm just grouping it all under this fulfillment bucket right now of like, here's what needs to happen to fulfill it. We need to get it signed. We need to get the information, and we need to get something competitive and bind it.
You might want to segment it a little bit just so you can see where deals fall apart.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a certain percentage of people that commit over the phone, but then never sign it.
Yep. And again, it's like you could sit there and say, well, then I would put those, you know what? Maybe those are the maybes then, right? As we start to think about it, because it's like they're in, but they clearly require some more follow-up.
Right.
Because that's what we're trying to track. In the no, like that guy number 2 today that said no, he was never going to change his mind. I don't need to meet with him anymore. Right? It was just 5 minutes. It was just like, he's like, no. So here's the question I've got, and we can play around with the fulfillment side and what that looks like in the stages, but so now I'm factoring in if I want to hit a certain number, right? If I want to hit $1 million in revenue in 6 months, what do I actually need in committed revenue?
Yeah. You probably need more like $1.5 to $2 million in committed revenue to get there.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
So that changes the numbers. Whereas before I was like, I just need the commit. Once I get the commitment, I'm going to hit it. Not true. So then that brings me to this qualified decision conversation.
Mm-hmm.
How many of those? That's the science of scaling talks about the crux, right? Can you get to the crux of the whole thing as fast as possible? And that's the crux, the decision. Are they going to, what is their decision? So then we can make the game plan from there. Right? Hey, yes, I'm in. Okay, now we have to get the stuff signed. That's the follow-up process. Hey, I'm in if I can meet you. Cool, let's do a Zoom call. Now that's the follow-up. Hey, I'm in if you could check my reputation in the market and come back. Or I'm a maybe, but check my reputation, then come back. Okay, cool. Let me go check your reputation. So, but that decision I don't think is going to change. Like that 1.3 million, that guy, he would have had the same answer 2 days before the renewal. Hey, man, I got this hot deal. It's another carrier. They just need this, this, and this. Like we said before, he's like, nah, man, I don't want to risk it. That was his answer. And what we're getting at here the past few weeks is, would their answer change? And I don't think his answer would change because that's just his disposition. That's where he's at.
Or if it would change, what's the likelihood that it would change? And I think the likelihood is so small that it's not worth the ante, right? We're talking about it like a card game.
Yeah.
It's not worth the ante to play the hand. Like how much time would you have to invest to potentially get a better option? What are the odds you do get a better option? And then what are the odds that they take it? So there's all these things that have to fall in line in order for it to work. Whereas 95% certain this is where this guy is going to land.
Yep. And let's say I'm like, I'm like, dude, I'll fly out tonight. You have to sign this by tomorrow. I will hop on a plane tonight. And I'll be there in the morning. I'll take you to breakfast. We'll talk about it. And then you can decide if you want to sign it. Does he change his answer? If his concern is he doesn't want to risk it.
No, he doesn't.
Same with the guy who hit me back with, dude, this sounds great. He's all pissed at his broker. Let me talk to him first. Does that change if I go to 2 meetings and I meet with them? Part of it is we want to see their true colors. What are you made of? Prospect, it's going to take you say you want to get the best deal. You got to have the guts to pull the trigger. Are you going to do it? No. Okay, chicken. It's like, all right, then and I said it to him. I said, then you just have to eat it. Yeah. And he said, I guess I'll eat it. Man.
But you got there in 45 minutes, which is incredible. Okay, so I want to define qualified decision conversation, because I think it also ties into something you were talking about before we got on the phone, which is you think the core problem with the industry is there's not enough leads, basically. And I think qualified decision conversation, it's a conversation with the person who has the ability to sign the letter.
Or the person who tells you they can sign the letter. Right? So let's say you meet with the controller and they can't actually do it. And you have the qualified decision conversation, QDC, let's call it. And she goes, I'm assuming she's a she, I don't know. Let's run with it. She goes, okay, I can meet, I'm in, I get it. And the whole let me use this example. I think I've used this before. CFO that I met with, I think I talked about last week. She was a new CFO. She was about my age. I was early 30s at the time. She goes, my dad just hired me as a CFO. I'm planning on taking over. I have all the decision-making power. Cool, let's meet. So that was a 2-week process, 3-week process. I did coverage analysis. I probably put about 8 hours into it, and I got to the decision point. And that's what we're talking about. How fast can we get to the decision point? So the qualified decision conversation. And maybe we change to something else. Decision point, DP, I don't know. We'll land on a name. So 10 years ago, DP, down to party. Yep, I'm here. I'm ready. Now it means something different. So she couldn't make the decision. She got back to me and she goes, oh, my dad actually overrode me. And she's like, I'm pissed because he told me I have all decision-making power. I have a bigger problem on my hands. So the decision-making process. So if I get her there in 23 minutes, let's say, and she goes, okay, good, I'm in. Because this was her answer. After 2-3 weeks, and then a coverage analysis, a mod analysis, all the work. She goes, sounds good. Let me tell my dad out of a courtesy, because his broker has been his broker for 30 years. She goes, I'm firing him. I'm hiring you. Just let me give him a heads up. Now, would her answer have changed? I spent 3 weeks with her. If she bought in on the strategy in one call in 20 minutes, because that's, if you really break it down in those 3 weeks, I probably spent about 20 minutes on the strategy itself. She didn't care about the mod. She didn't care about her debris removal, her ordinance and law. So the strategy portion was probably about 20 minutes. She got it. She says yes. Now, the follow-up process was the next day. We had a call. She gets on the call. I can't do it. That stings for everybody. But we still got there in one call. We forced the decision, which was, let me give my dad a heads up. So that means you don't actually have the full decision-making authority. So you sniff it out faster. Because every controller, CFO, COO, safety coordinator, operations person's office manager, every one of them is going to tell you that they're the decision maker, but they're really not. They're the one that handles the insurance, and when it comes down to it, they give it the quote to the owner, and the owner decides. So let's get to that point as fast as we can. So then the question is, DP, QDC, whatever we decide to call it, how many of those conversations can a broker have in a day is what it comes down to. Because if that's the metric that drives everything, it's like, how can you do anything else but those? And that's what I'm having a hard time with these past few days. Because I'm like, how do I get more of those?
I was thinking about that earlier too. Is like, what percentage of my day do I spend sourcing out my own leads? And what percentage of a broker's job is lead sourcing?
Yep.
And I'd say it depends on what part of your career you're in, but at the very beginning, it's 90%. It's lead gen, and it depends on the agency you're in too. If you're not getting any leads from your agency, well, it's 90%. Maybe you get some inbound, maybe it's a little bit lower. You get a little bit further in your career, it's probably more like 40 to 50% is lead gen, but a substantial part of your job is lead generation.
Yeah. And so we've got a cold caller. And we're potentially hiring another one. He's already going. She's going to maybe start tomorrow. I've been making some calls because that's what we're trying to fill. I can't figure out where my phone is. I was going to do some math.
What math do you want me to do?
So this is what I'm trying to figure out is this is what I think every producer needs to figure out. What is the actual closing rate? How much committed revenue do you need?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the fulfillment rate, right? Of what you actually, so it's what do you want to hit in revenue? And this is where I don't think people do enough of. I didn't early in my career. I was just like, well, I got to hit 100,000 a year. That's what they tell me is good. Screw that. What do you want? How much do you want to make? And then how much do you want to work as well? Like that's the balance, right? So it's like, let's say the question is, how much revenue do you want to hit? Okay, that's your fulfilled revenue for a month. Then you have to back into it. Whatever percentage, let's just say 50%. So the math I did earlier was, let's say I want 150,000 in revenue per month. I need 300,000 at a 50% fulfillment rate in committed revenue. So then it's how many meetings do I have?
Yeah.
Now, and not even meetings. They can't just be meetings because right now what I'm finding, the show rate sucks in trucking. So it has to be how many quality decision conversations, how many DP, decision points, whatever we're calling it. How many of those do I need to get to in a day? Now, in 4 hours, you could have 8.
Right. Yeah.
8 30-minute slots. That's not bad if you think about it. 4 hours of your day producing. You just have to be diligent about it. Now, the thing that I'm looking at is if you block that in the calendar, now you have to fill those every day. And every day that it goes by and you don't fill them, it is lost inventory.
Yes, filling the calls, that's a challenge. The other thing that is going to start filling your time is once you get the committed revenue, now you actually have to do the insurance work. And you're going to have blocks of time where you're actually going to have to do paperwork and you're going to have to negotiate with underwriters and you're going to have to make sure it's in your agency management system. And that's going to chew up a chunk of time too.
Yeah. So that's the question I'm trying to answer is how much of that can we remove from the producer?
Right.
Look, in an ideal world, I would touch none of that. That would be ideal.
It would be ideal.
Because here's the challenge I'm having personally. That dude that said yes, I'm at risk of losing him because I am not prioritizing the follow-up. Because I'm prioritizing the other decisions. Right? If it comes down to, can I get on the phones and try and get another qualified decision? Or do I follow up with him? And that's the catch.
Well, you'll lose your fulfillment rate will go down if you don't take the bird that's in hand. So
I agree. But then if we're going to use animal references, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So it's like, how much time do I put in the follow-up? You see what I'm saying? It's a balance, and I don't know the answer yet.
And so, maybe there's ways to systemize it too, where it's maybe you don't have to be the one that's making the follow-up call. Maybe you can outsource the follow-up call to a VA or something to set the whatever the insurance work. I call it a protection review meeting, which is that 30 to 45 minute call where you actually talk about insurance and figure out what they need so you can complete applications. If somebody else is setting those calls and you have a block, because you have blocks of afternoons where that's what you do. That's fine. You're still going to have to sit down and fill out the paperwork, though.
Yeah, I'm working. Thankfully, the business partner, Tyler, is really good at that part of it.
Okay,
because
good.
I don't, dude, and I think this is typical of most producers. I would rather just stay on the phones.
Yeah.
I'd rather stay meeting people. Excuse me. So the question now is, can we put the producer in the highest possible role, right? If that's the decision, if the decision conversation is where you make the money and the producer is one of the highest paid positions in the organization, why, as an industry, are we bogging the producer down with cold calling, paperwork, submissions, meeting with a freaking carrier for 3 hours to go have lunch and have a liquid lunch? It's like, if you look at it, the maximum output for a producer is to be in those conversations. So that's the question we're trying to answer as an agency, is how do we put the producer in a role, in a position to maximize the number of those calls every single day, because that's where they can perform the best and get the most amount of revenue.
I think that's right.
And then put fulfillment to somebody else.
Yeah, and when the producer spends the most time focusing on having those conversations, they'll get better at those conversations too.
Yeah.
It's like when you bring in these world-renowned surgeons, they do one thing, right? Like they walk in a room, they wash their hands, they put on their gloves, make one little cut and leave.
Yep.
Because that's what they're known for, that one little cut. They don't cut the person's head, cut the person open, dress it, make sure all the equipment's set up. There's a whole team that does that. They just walk in and make that cut.
Now, right, and I'll take a step further. Do you think that surgeon could do that? Could they do the whole process?
Well, yes, they could. They could do that. They are probably smart and capable, but it's not the best use of their time.
Right, and would they enjoy it?
No.
Right, and that's where I'm finding with myself right now. Part of the reason I left insurance, there's a lot of reasons, or left being a broker, I hated that part of it. I just wanted to get people to say, yes, that was it.
Then, yeah, and part of what you might need then is, so like I speaking from experience, one of the hardest parts of the insurance sale job is there has to be a person that does that protection review, that goes through and makes sure the insurance is right. That's critical. That's part that even in BOR or bust, that is what we're selling. It's assumed that we're going to do that part right.
You have to do it.
You have to do it. You have to do it right. You have to be excellent at it. Somebody's got to do it. And then somebody has to get that information in a format where, if you're going to have some type of marketing team, or Bittner Henry calls it a submission team, where the data is in a format where they can send it to carriers and they can negotiate, and that they understand what's going on in the business well enough that they can talk about it. That information has to be relayed. That's so if we're talking about what are the pressure points on either side, lead gen on the front end is a huge bottleneck for a producer, and on the back end, it's the paperwork and it's the submission piece. Those on either side, where I think you're right, that the crux of the whole thing is have as many qualified decision conversations as you possibly can, and that's the crux to hitting the sales goals.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And then the question becomes, if lead gen or lead volume matters, what I tested today is, do we lower the level of revenue per deal? Now, what I battled back and forth with was with Science of Scaling. They would tell you, no, keep your floor the floor. But what I'm wondering is the floor, does the industry have it wrong? Is it not a revenue per account? Do we need to look at it as revenue per day, and we don't care how we get there? Like, if we're going after trucking and it's power units, as let's say it's 1,000 revenue per power unit, roughly, like as a ballpark estimate. So if one account has 20 power units or 15 power units, and one account, or you have 5 accounts that have 3 power units, you're still at 15 power units.
Yeah, but it's 3 sets of paperwork. It's 3 different negotiations.
Or 5, it would be 5.
Yeah.
Correct. So it technically is more work, but this is what I'm thinking about. If there's more of them, let's say you could have 8 calls a day.
Mm-hmm.
But at the 15K in revenue, you could only fill 4 calls, 2 calls a day. So now the producer has empty time. So is
So
it?
the question is, do you lower the question is, do you lower the floor, or do you bring in more types of verticals so you can keep the floor the same, you keep the revenue at the same floor?
And that's what I'm looking at right now. Do you lower the number, or do you just go to other states? The floor is the floor, and let's go to other states, right? Or is it like, it doesn't matter? Because think about it. The producer is working every those days anyway. It's like a restaurant that's open that doesn't sell anything.
Yeah.
It's like, we're here. What if we just sold, I don't know, like if we sold, how do I want to say this? Like a McDonald's drive-through. They're open. I don't eat that crap, but they're open. So it's like, do they care if one person orders a 1 Big Mac or one person orders 10 Big Macs? They're not turning away the person that orders 1. They're just trying to get as many people through. They're saying, hey, we need to sell 50 Big Macs or 50 orders in a day, knowing that the average order is going to be this. And then if it goes above that, great, we made more money. So that's what I'm messing around with.
It's a good thing to mess around with. I think it's a good place to put a bow on the conversation because it gives you a couple things to test. And then we can talk about it next week because I think there's a lot of interesting questions there. It comes down to agency economics, staff time, how many submissions can you run? All great stuff to get into next week. So, BOR is not just a way to win business. It is a mindset. It means you're going all in, like our boy Nick Obi here, who's starting an agency, who's making a bet, going all in on himself. And it's believing that you are worth it and that second place is not an acceptable option. It's BOR or bust, baby. Talk to you next week.